Hello to you. Thank you for joining us on Sky News here in the UK this afternoon where we are. It looks as though, according to what we've been hearing today, that Russia was very heavily involved in the election campaign. We've heard that before, but perhaps even more infiltrating everyday life in the United States.
Well, I think this is the first time that we've actually heard from senior officials, within the intelligence community. Clapper made the point that spear phishing is one of the larger attacks that are done not only by foreign adversaries but by different types of hackers. And so I think that there's going to have to be a lot of education going forward here in 2017. But we're going to have to definitely study what happened in 2016 and move forward.
Are you accepting what the Director of National Intelligence, Mr. Clapper, you're referring to there? Are you accepting what he said at face value?
Yeah, I think that the DNI certainly has information at their disposal that not the general public isn't aware of, and I think that the intelligence community is looking at this and saying that they believe that they have legitimate proof exactly who the hackers are. I think that you're going to see a transition here in the U.S. from kind of a campaign mode where it was a Republican versus Democrat type issue where essentially Senator McCain has fired off the first shot here in Congress saying that he's going to not only investigate cyber hacking and what needs to be done about it in a military sense, but also what needs to be done from a foreign policy perspective and how to deal with not only the Russians, but you heard a lot of the Office of Personnel Management talk by Senator Cruz and others, which was a major hack in 2015 that occurred with the Chinese. And so you're going to see a lot here, not only in January, but going forward. And when President-elect Trump is sworn in, I think you'll see a little bit of a pivot from Republican-Democrat campaign to executive branch, legislative branch, and how the two work together or don't work together on this issue going forward. I think that, Senator McCain was pretty clear today that he didn't believe that the election results were impacted at all by the hacks. I think this is an issue of information that came out, but nobody seemed to have the belief, especially DNI Clapper today, that there was a impact on voters or the election results themselves down to the actual election machines. And so that doesn't necessarily seem to be in dispute. I think what the issue is identifying the adversaries and then, what is the penalties for this type of activity. I think that cyber norms is something that the U.S. is still struggling with in terms of what is the appropriate action to address something like this that happens from an adversary. I think that President Obama, clearly at the end of his term is looking to establish some cyber norms with issuing these sanctions, but I think as a U.S. government and the U.S. and its allies, we don't necessarily know what cyber norms are yet and what are the appropriate penalties for this type of activity.
The committee hearing that, in quotes, we assess that only Russia's senior-most officials could have authorized the recent election-focused data thefts and disclosures. That is right at the door of Mr. Putin. This is a man that your president-elect says he can do business with.
Well, I think that, I think you need to take in context that, espionage has been something that's been going on for centuries. The U.S. and other countries and also adversaries are engaged in espionage and spying and collecting information and collecting data. I think that that's certainly one issue that is on the table and how we respond to that. The sanctions were essentially a response to an espionage type activity, which, they expelled diplomats and specifically called out those that they felt were involved in malicious cyber activities. So that'll be an issue for President-elect Trump to deal with. I think, he will have the opportunity to have a potential new relationship with office, and they engage in more formal dialogue once he assumes office. And so this certainly will be on the table. This is definitely on the table for the U.S. Congress. I would expect other hearings to happen here, not only with the Senate Armed Services Committee, but the intelligence committees, the Homeland Security committees. I would expect Congress to push through its own legislation and sanctions, similar to they've done for other countries that the U.S. has felt is an enemy. So I think that it's going to be very complex for President Trump to deal with. I think that relationship, obviously, with a country like Russia is going to be important regardless of what's occurred, but we're going to have to really see what happens here in the next couple of weeks.
Good to talk to you. Thank you.